Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's live. Oh my goodness. Ah, it's Oracle card reading and all the things. Hop on and say hi if you're here, and if you're watching the replay, just hit replay. And yeah, introduce yourself. Tell us why you're here. If you're new to this group, I just want to share a little bit about who I am. I'm Erin McGuire, owner of Pure Light Wellness, and I've been a women's empowerment coach, mindset expert, and energy wellness expert and healer, essentially, for the last 11 years. And I love what I do, and this is why I'm here bringing all of this good stuff to you guys. So, this is my place where I like to share and give to the community and the tribe. So, I help sensitive women who feel stuck and who are trying to shift something big in their life. And let me tell you that this is the time, right? There's just so much potential and energy right now that can be utilized for us to move to that next level in our life. Because let me tell you, being stuck doesn't feel very good, does it? So give me a wave or a heart or a yes, I hear you. If you feel like you're in a stuck place right now, and if you feel like being vulnerable, which if you know me, which a lot of you may not, but if you know me, I'm extremely vulnerable. So I'm going to be vulnerable on here, and hopefully that will encourage you to also share. Because the thing is, when you put that thing out there, when you say, wow, look, this is where I feel stuck, it number one, it gives other people the opportunity to feel safe to share. And number two, it helps to start shifting that pattern in a different way. Because what happens is a lot of us kind of hide behind the behavior and the patterns, and we just kind of think, well, this is the way it's always been, so it's not going to change, and we kind of give up a little bit. And when you put it out there and you say, look, this is me, this is where I'm stuck, you actually begin the process of change. So I highly recommend leaving a comment, where do you feel stuck, and hopefully we can help shift some of that for you. So in today's live, we always like to do a few different things. So some sort of little movement or breath technique. I'm a yoga teacher as well. That's how I got started in my career. And so I'm going to do something to move energy, and then talk a little bit about kind of what's in the energy for this time that we're in right now, right here and now. And it's always just my opinion. So, it doesn't mean it's the end all be all, but it's what's coming up for me. And because I'm an intuitive, I assume it's related to what other people are going through. And oftentimes my clients that come to me are dealing with similar things. So I'm always like, oh, yep, there we go. There's the validation. We're kind of being pushed to look at this time. And then the last thing we do is a oracle card reading, and we kind of go into what that means for the collective. So where I actually want to start today is in the reverse order, which is I want to start with where we're at energetically. I've been talking about it since quarantine happened. We're in a massive purge, and you can either kind of go with the flow on that purge. Hey, if you're watching, just say hi. I'd love to know who's here. Don't be shy. I don't bite. Say hello and let me know where you are checking in from. And please, you guys, invite friends to this group that you feel like are sensitive women who are, spiritually open and wanting to grow and expand, because that's what this area is all about. So we're in a great purge, and what that looks like is a lot of things are coming to the surface that are making us uncomfortable. And we can either go with the flow, or we can fight the current. And we know what that feels like. So if you're resisting what's coming up, if you're trying to fight it, if you're like, this shouldn't be happening to me, or if you're in victim mode saying, well, why does this always happen to me? Then, and if that's triggering, like, great. I hope that it's triggering to you. Because if you're just, again, we can hide behind our patterns. We can hide behind the behavior that's just always been. We can hide behind the blaming other people for our issues. It's when we get real and get responsible to like, I created this shit. And then we can look at it and then we actually have the ability to change. When I'm blaming, when I'm making excuses, when I'm hiding, then the pattern is going to continue. And I can see this in my own life. So here's me getting vulnerable. I grew up in kind of a rough environment with my own mom, and who has, some alcoholism going on. And when I got older and started learning all of this stuff, right, all this psychology behind like why I was doing what I was doing and learning like how my early childhood affected who I am as an adult, when I started learning all of that, I got really quick to blame. And I got really angry because for most of my life I was shut down. Because she had such a strong energy, I learned it was safe to stay small and to shut down my light and not ask for what I needed in order to be safe. Now, you can imagine how that translates as an adult, and maybe some of you can relate to that. Give me a little wave or a thumbs up if you can relate to that. Just being real, like, yeah, I feel what you're saying. As we get older, how that translates is we often become people pleasers. We're trying to get our needs met. We're trying to get love in all the wrong places. That's what happened for me. I was very needy in relationships because I didn't get the love that I needed from my primary caregiver. And it made me like not feel safe almost to be myself. So there was all of this kind of issue around sharing my truth, speaking up for myself, asking for what I needed. Anybody feeling me out there? I can see some people are watching. So where was I going with this? It's a train of thought that's coming through. I don't plan these. This is all spirit, asking me to share what's up. And so there we go. I got it back. Victim. So I went into victim mode because of that experience, because then I started to learn, oh, well, it's my mom's fault I'm like this. It's my mom's fault that I don't have a good relationship. It's my mom's fault that I'm broke. It's my mom's fault that I can't get my shit together. It's my mom's fault for this or that or the other. And I was really angry. And one day I just kind of woke up and I'm like, whoa, you are blaming her. You are a 30-something-year-old woman and you're still blaming your mom for stuff? Like, okay, when are you going to wake up? I kind of had to come to realization moment with myself, so to speak, and just was like, you need to get real. Like, you can change this. So my point being that if you are stuck in a victim cycle or blaming or excusing, making excuses or all that kind of thing, you're going to stay stuck. Okay, so that's just a real basic level, but it's not easy because a lot of us have had some traumatic experiences happen. A lot of us didn't get the love we needed. So there is that anger in that, why did I not get what I needed in early childhood? And you never want to condone bad behavior, but we want to work on forgiving those people and then getting out of victim mode. So when I started to take responsibility for my life and say, you got yourself in this financial situation, you messed up with different relationships, or, weren't expressive, weren't emotionally available. That was the other thing I was doing. I was dating a lot when I lived in Los Angeles and here. And I would wonder, why do I keep seeing, I keep dating all these emotionally unavailable men? And I was pointing the finger. They're all emotionally unavailable. Again, it wasn't until I sat with myself and said, what's the common denominator here? Me. Could it be that I was being emotionally unavailable? And when I got real with myself, things changed real quick. So taking responsibility has been one of the most life-changing experiences, among several others, that have really helped me move forward and change my life. So I just want to share that because that's what Spirit is coming. It's coming through for a message. I don't know who needs to hear that, but give me a thumbs up if that's you. And, if you want to take an action step, make a commitment right here and say, here's what I'm going to start taking responsibility for, because it's powerful. I'm telling you, this second you make that declaration that I am taking responsibility for this, you take your power back. Because right now, if like when I was blaming my mom, I was actually giving her all the power. I was giving her my power to say, it's your fault that this happened. And so I was giving my power away because when I did that, I wasn't accepting that I had the power to change it. I just wanted to be like, poor me. So when you do that, you're going to reclaim your power in a really big way. So that's today's message of kind of where we're at. We are really in a place where the divine feminine is awakening in a big way. And we've been living our lives mostly from a masculine perspective. Our whole culture is very masculine. The way we work as women is very masculine. We have all the to-dos to do. We go, go, go until we drop. We think about everybody else but ourselves. I don't even have kids, okay? And I don't know how people do it with children because, well, number one, I'm a business owner, so there's like 2,000 tasks to do a day that nothing ever gets completely done. There's a lot of different hats that I wear for that. So it feels like that's my child, but, pets and the house and your relationship with your partner and your friend, it's just like, life is so overwhelming sometimes. And so it's very easy, what I'm trying to say is it's very easy to get stuck in that masculine energy of, I've got to do all the things and make all the things right. Or to just like kind of be in the detached energy of just like, I just need to let go and like not do anything, not try to keep it all together and keep it up. So stepping into the feminine energy is something that is actually quite challenging for a lot of women because there's a great deal of letting go and just being in the flow and like rolling with what is in the moment instead of trying to force, figure out, try, fight and all that. That's very masculine. So that can be the question that I kind of just pose for you all today is just where are you fighting and forcing and trying to control and figure out? And where can you allow a little bit more grace, a little bit more energy and pure light to come in and guide you? So we're not used to that. We're not used to being guided. We're used to doing. I need to write that down because that's a really good one. We're not used to, yes, sometimes spirit gives me really great material. Not sometimes, all the time. We're not used to, I don't even remember what I said. Who remembers what I just said? Being guided, there we go. You guys aren't helping. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. You gotta laugh a little bit here. You gotta laugh. You're not used to being guided. We are used to doing. Maybe write that down for yourself. Because it's really the subtle energy that I'm telling you is trying to come through. And if you're having any problems right now, it's because you're trying to fight with what is. I mean, that's true anytime. If you lost your job, then there's a reason for that. It was probably not serving you on some level anyway. If, your relationship is falling apart, it probably wasn't serving you in some way. It doesn't have to all be doom and gloom, but do you see what I'm trying to say is that like spirit, source, universe, God, whatever word you use is trying to work through you. And when we're fighting, when we're trying to control everything around us, hi, I'm an ex-controller. It still comes up sometimes in my relationship with my partner. But I've worked really hard on letting that go. I mean, I basically am a recovered, you name it, I had to recover from it. People pleaser, perfectionist, control freak, everything you could possibly imagine. But when we're trying to control everybody around us and the world around us and figure it out and fight, we can't be guided. God, source, universe, energy cannot get through us. So just let that kind of sink in for a second. That when I'm trying to fight and control, I can't be guided. And I know this from personal experience. It's so hard to let go of the fight because it's been working for you. Well, at least you think it's been working for me. It's how I've gotten where I am. And that may very well be true, but I can also speak from personal experience that when I allow myself to be guided and to take aligned action that aligns with my soul, there's this just really easy energy. And like whatever I need in that moment just kind of comes through in a real easy way that's always like 10 times better than what I could have imagined. But it doesn't always look the way that you think it will or should, right? So you might need to get a task done. I'm trying to give you guys an example here. I'm trying to think of what I was writing something for a workshop I was doing. Writing up, like a little end piece of a workshop I was doing recently, my Confident Women Masterclass. And instead of doing the task at hand that I needed to do, which I was definitely resistant towards, I was having some struggle getting that task done because I have this old story that says you need to do it perfectly. So I have to work really hard against that old pattern. Are you kind of seeing a theme here? That like, I always tell people if living your dream life were easy, we'd all be doing it. It's not, because so much resistance comes up. So you have to find a way to work through your own mental constructs that when everything in your brain and body is firing saying don't do this thing, and it's the thing you need to do, you got to find a way to bust through that, or you will stay stuck. Okay, so there's a lot of different things going on here. But point being, I was trying to work on a task that I had to get done. And I sat down to start writing. I'm looking at it right now in front of me. I sat down to start writing, and all of a sudden this memory came to me of when I was in Las Vegas. I was 21 years old, and I was sitting on a balcony overlooking the entire city of Las Vegas. I was sitting with my boyfriend at the time. And at that time in my life, I was drinking way too much, partying way too much. I barely remember anything from that period of my life because I would literally drink till I passed out a lot. From like 19 to about that age, 21, 22. Partying way too hard, trying to numb a lot of pain that I obviously didn't understand at the time. So I'm sitting there on this rooftop in Vegas, and I just remember this profound feeling coming over me where I don't know if it's just kind of one of those moments where you're like looking out across an expansive area, you're seeing all the lights of Las Vegas, and you're just kind of like in your head for a moment. And I had this feeling that like, and I'd never had it before, but I had this feeling like I'm supposed to be doing something really big. But I had no idea what it was. And I know we were drinking that night, and I even looked over to my boyfriend and I told him the same thing. And that memory has stayed with me, although lots of other memories have not, of just this feeling of knowing I'm supposed to be doing something big. Anyway, long story longer, I had that memory in the moment I'm supposed to be doing my task for my workshop. And I start writing about it. And then that starts leading into something else. And the next thing I know, I have 4 pages written of a very amazing email, a newsletter possibly, something that explains what I do in my business in such a clear way that's almost profound. Like, I don't think I've ever gotten this clear about how to explain it in a way that's going to really make sense to people. Because, spiritual work, healing work is sometimes a little out there to some. And so to really bring it home and ground it, that just came out of nowhere. And had I said, no, I'm supposed to be writing this thing for my workshop, I would have stopped the flow. So that's what I mean by when you're guided, it's not always going to show up like, okay, I need to sit down and write this. Come on, spirit. It doesn't always work that way. It's like when you're meant to do something, it will flow through. And it's your job to get the ego out of the way, which takes practice. This isn't something I can just snap my fingers and make happen. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Give me a thumbs up. It's not something that it's just you snap and it begins. It's something that requires practice because you're so used to the ego leading the way. Who gets me? Who feels me? Give me a heart. Tell me what's going on in your life right now. And don't forget to hit to type replay if you're watching the replay. So that's just the main message, you guys, is that we're not used to living from a place of being guided, living from a place of our higher self. We're used to living from our ego. And you'll know when you're in your ego, the more you start paying attention to this. Maybe that's just step one. Step one is like, just feel, and I've talked a lot about this in YouTube videos. If you don't have my YouTube channel, just go to Erin McGuire Pure Light Wellness. It'll come right up. There's tons of videos in there if you ever just want to, have a break from your day and just watch some good stuff. I think it's good anyway. Sorry, I'm just kind of feeling silly this morning, so bear with me here. It's like messages with spirit, sometimes they come with giggles and laughs, and actually they always do. That's one way. So, and thank you. That brings me right back to my point, which is I've talked a lot about this. The feeling that you're feeling in your body, when you're giggly, when you're laughing, when there's lightness, when there's joy, when there's peacefulness, when there's calm, when there's excitement, that's all of spirit. When there's heaviness, we can think of it as light and dark, right? Lightness, even like something that's light versus something that's heavier, like my smoothie here. If that helps you, if you're more of a visual person and you need to think light, like literally light versus heavy. Okay, when there's heaviness in your body or your mind, when you feel like you're just kind of stuck, when there's depression or anxiety, frustration, shame, guilt, resentment, regret, humiliation, fear, control, which is a byproduct of fear. All of that's kind of a byproduct of fear. And the ego lives and thrives in fear. And the ego is not a bad thing. So let's not beat up on anybody. We're not beating up on your parents. We're not beating up on the ego. We need an ego to survive. Okay, the ego protects you in a lot of ways. Like when you're crossing the street, it's like, wait, look both ways. Okay, so the ego is not all bad. The problem is that most of us end up living through our ego, and that's why we're in pain. Because the ego is going to keep you in a fearful state. And Tony Robbins says this: the amount of pain you feel is equal to the lack of love you are giving and receiving. Like allowing it in. So let me say that again. It's probably not an exact quote, but the amount of pain you feel is equal to the lack of love you are giving and receiving. So we're not allowing that love in, and we're blocking ourselves from giving it because we're hurt inside for some reason. And I can definitely attest to that. So this turned into a little bit of a coaching session. I hope it's helpful for you guys. Give me a thumbs up if you're liking this content. That lets me know what you guys want to learn from or have more of in the future. So these happen every Wednesday at 10 a.m. So tell your friends and make sure you come. But back to sum everything up. This is all being channeled, so I don't have any notes. I don't prepare for this. It's a flow of whatever I'm feeling, whatever spirit, not me, whatever spirit is feeling that you need to receive right now. Back to being guided versus being guided and living through your higher self versus the ego. You'll know those feelings in your body, light versus heavy, as I explained all the different feelings there. And that's kind of your first step, is just start watching, because this is a big deal. It's not just, again, it's not something that we can just snap our fingers and suddenly I'm living from my higher self. It's a process because you've been so entrained in living and doing from your ego. So the first step is feel it in your body. What are the feelings? If I'm feeling lightness, then I'm most likely in my higher, not most likely, I am living in my higher self in that moment. And it can switch moment to moment. We all have felt that. I feel in flow, I feel connected, I feel, amazing. And then this next minute, why do I feel so heavy? I just got a crappy email. Gosh, that person's such an asshole. This is what we do, right? And it's like, why can't we just float in that higher self realm? So the time right now that we're in is going to make you, if you're willing to step up to the plate and take the challenge to really pay attention to this, the time that we're in right now can shift the energy very quickly. I talk about this a lot. Like when I first started doing this work in 2007, it was like moving through freaking molasses. And I mean, it felt like that way for years, where it's just like, oh my gosh, I've been doing all this work. Excuse my cat in the background. He's really unhappy for some reason. If anybody's a pet reader out there, I would love to hear from you. Like, what is going on with this cat? It felt very heavy, but now the energy is aligned that we're able to move through our stuff a lot faster. So I encourage you to, take on the challenge of just really watching the subtle energies in your body and knowing where you're at, feeling light, feeling heavy. That's the first step. And then to really start taking aligned action means to really notice when you're trying to control. And all you can do in those moments, trying to control, fight, fix, figure out, trying all of that stuff, is to just say, I ask you, Spirit, God, Source, to take over for me right now. Because I know this is not coming from my higher self. You can place your hands on your heart and just say, please take over right now. Please show me what to do in this situation. I feel all this resistance. I feel myself trying to fight. And I know that this is not of my higher self. And it doesn't feel good. Because it doesn't feel good, does it? When we're like in that resistive mode or that figuring out mode, it doesn't feel good. So just ask Spirit to take over. And then the third step is to try to sit back. Or, go do something else if you can. Different tasks ask for different measures. But if you can leave the task at that moment, go take a walk. I'm a business owner, so I have a lot more flexibility. But maybe go take a walk around the block. Or, take a few deep breaths. Or just get up from your desk and go somewhere. Or leave the situation with your partner. Whatever the case may be, just go get yourself centered. Breathe into your heart. You can place your hand at your heart center. And just take some deep breaths, imagining your heart breathing, to get yourself grounded. Because that's a main thing that came up in the workshop I taught. This is a theme I saw in everybody that was there. There were two things that were common. When people felt stuck, they were ungrounded and not present. Okay, both of those are a recipe for disaster. When we're ungrounded and not present, we're not going to be guided because we're up here, we're not here. So bring yourself down into your heart center by breathing into your heart and imagining your heart breathing. In fact, let's do that as our exercise today, and then we'll read the oracle card and move on with our days. Okay, so I think that's enough to talk about for today. Again, leave any questions below if you have any. So just take your hand on your heart center and close your eyes. Place your feet flat on the floor and just begin breathing. And if you're a visual person like me, it's helpful to visualize your heart breathing, like the actual physical organ itself. You can imagine golden light like being pumped in it and then pumped out of it into all the veins so that that golden light goes to every single cell of your being. So just do that for a moment. Good. Continue to breathe in your heart, visualizing the heart breathing. So there's studies that have shown that the brain and the heart are really out of sync. So when you're in a stressful situation, when you're stuck, when you're trying to figure something out, the brain and the heart they're out of sync. And if you take just 2 minutes to focus here and breathing in your heart, you actually can get them in sync. And that's when you can ask yourself questions and make decisions and get answers from a much deeper place. And it's called a heart activation. Just keep breathing in your heart, imagining the physical heart breathing. Good. Take one more big inhale. Hold the breath. See that golden light being pumped to every single cell of your being. And exhale and release. You can take the arms up and stretch if that feels good. Ooh. And then release your hands down. Who here feels more grounded? Just put your hand up and say, whew, I feel so much more grounded now. I know I do. And so that's the first step in being guided, is to get yourself grounded and then ask yourself any of those important questions. And notice what comes up. Take a journal out and write it out. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do today is to pull a card. We went a little over today. Try to keep these short, but Spirit had a lot to share with you. So the way I do the oracle cards is I'm just asking Spirit to give a message for this group of women in Women Rising, a collective message for all of us. You shuffle up the cards, and then I just like to kind of close my eyes, and eventually a card will fall out. And that's always how we get our message. So just go ahead and keep breathing in your heart center while I do this. And just, asking, what do I need to hear today? What's my message for this week? The nose itch. Must be at the bottom of the deck. Oh, there we go. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is really funny. This is the same card we got last week. So apparently some of us did not get the message. That is so interesting to me. Okay. The card is Trust the Timing. Trust the wave you came in on. Time is not running out. And then that's what the card looks like. Oop. Okay, trust the timing. How funny. So if you're just hopping on, this is the same card we got last week. So it appears that some of us, myself included, I know, because I know where I'm not trusting my timing around. But think about where in your life you're not trusting the timing. Are you wishing you were further along? Are you wishing that things in your life were different? Or that some of whatever issue was handled. Just put yourself into that place and where you feel that. Okay, so trust the timing. So often those who feel like they're here for a reason sense that time is running out, and they spend their life worrying that they might miss their moment. But the only way to miss your life or your moment is to spend your time worrying about missing it. The only way to miss your life or your moment is to spend your time worrying about missing it. It's never too late to answer a calling, and you're never too old. The tides of your life are magnificently orchestrated to come in and out in perfect unison. Don't race ahead and ride a wave that was never meant for you. I remember that from last week. Don't race ahead and ride a wave that was never meant for you. This goes along so beautifully with the message I just gave about being guided. Because the forcing and the fighting will actually cause us to race ahead and grab a wave that wasn't meant for us. I love how spirit works. You'll waste your precious time and energy when instead you could be enjoying your life. Everything has a season, and you're being called to trust the one you're in. Don't let impatience, comparison, competition, or paranoia disturb the seeds. It seems that everyone has anxiety these days, constantly scanning for something they might have missed or a possible threat. Keeping our mind and body pointed in the same direction as our soul is near impossible at such reactive speeds. Right now, you're being reminded to take a breath and trust the wave you came in on. To trust the season you're in. Time isn't running out. There's plenty of time. There's no rush, and it's never too late. And the question to consider is, how can you trust the timing of your life a little more? So I'm going to put some notes into the comment box so that you guys can ponder this for the week. I'm so curious to hear what comes up for you, so do share below. I know this hits home for me, and it also hits home in just what I was just talking about. We can't be guided. We can't live from our higher self if we're rushing the timing of where we're at right now. That's fighting against what is. It's everything I just talked about. So it's such a poignant card to pull. And I believe it's exactly what Spirit wants us to hear today. Well, of course it is, or it wouldn't happen. So I thank you so much for watching today and for being here. And for those that are going to watch the replay. Last thing I want to share is I do have a program for women. It's called my 12-week Empowered Women program. And it is coming up September 29th. And there's a really special deal happening right now if you get involved soon. So I'll leave a link to that below, but we go over so many things over the 12 weeks. And the date brings us to the middle of December. So it's really going to be a great time to shift the energy of 2020 and let it go so that we can move into 2021 with so much more grace, connected to our higher self, reclaiming our power in massive ways, healing the past and letting it go. We go through a whole healing period, the first, I'd say, 5 or 6 weeks, and then we start transitioning into more of like what we want, accessing our inner power, and moving forward in massive ways towards what we want, what we say we want in our life. So you have me every week giving you a live call like this. We do energy healing, deep dive coaching, and it's my core program, and the people that take it completely say that their lives are completely shifted afterwards. So anyway, if you want to learn more, I'll leave a link below. And I would love to hop on the phone call with you to discuss if it's right. It might not be right for you. It might not be the right time or whatever, but it's always worth kind of just checking that out. So thank you again so much for watching, and just let's make it a great week. Trust the timing.